Hi everyone, it's Annette with ASCardDesign and I'm so glad you're here. In my last video, we made a butterfly shaker card and these two pieces are the leftover scrap pieces from that project. I will put a link to the video in the description below and at the end of this video, and do check it out. It's a lot of fun. But we did die cut a panel and the shaker window from that project, and then these are the two leftover pieces of scrap, and I thought it would be fun to make a card out of these. So that's what we're going to do today. So for right now, I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to be using this 3D embossing folder from Simonsaysstamp, and it's called Dotty Whirlpool, and it's this really fun 3D embossing folder with just a bunch of swirls, and I just thought it would give a little interest to the background of the window here. We're not making a shaker card, we're just going to make a plain card. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my die cutting machine, an embossing machine, the Sizzix Big Shot, and we're going to emboss this panel. So let's make some room for that. And we'll bring the machine in here, and I may have to zoom out just a little bit for you. Okay, and then we're just going to just run a quick pass of this folder through the machine. I'm just going to line up my cardstock just somewhere in it. Oh, right about like that. And I don't need this full sandwich. I'm not sure. This machine says for 3D embossing folders, I just need this bottom plate, the embossing folder, and the top plate. So let's run that through and see if it's enough pressure. And yeah, it's catching. It's not too hard, but it's got some good pressure going through. You definitely don't want to force the issue. I have cracked some of these thicker 3D embossing folders. And you can see they have a pretty good thickness to them. So I think we're looking good today. And we come out with this beautiful three-dimensional panel, and I really love that. It just adds a lot of nice texture. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. We are going to bring that back in just a minute, but for right now I have my panel, and we are going to next do some stamping. I want to stamp the greeting next, and we're going to use GinaKD's Elegant Thoughts. I love this little stamp set, and it has coordinating dies that you can purchase separately. And when I find sentiments or greetings that I like, I usually do save and splurge on the dies, the coordinating dies. They are a little bit of investment, but they last a long time, if not forever in my case, because I'm not using these every day. But I want to make this into a birthday card, so I'm going to just go ahead and stamp happy birthday, and then we're going to heat emboss it. So let me get the stamp out, and we'll just position it in our mini Misti, and I already have a piece of cardstock here, and we'll just put it let's put it over here. We are going to die cut it out, but it gives me all this other cardstock to save for another project. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this in black onyx, which is right here, GinaKD's black onyx. We're going to stamp that in black onyx first, but before I do any stamping, I do want to prepare my cardstock. I want to just brush it with I'm using Simonsaysstamp anti-static powder, and I just want to go over the cardstock. And this will prevent the embossing powder from sticking to areas where I don't want it. So we're just going to go in with the black onyx. We're going to heat emboss it with clear powder. And that will make the black ink really shiny and really stand out beautifully. Okay, and I think I might just ink it one more time. This is a really good technique to stretch your embossing. You can stamp in any color and then go over it with clear embossing powder, and then it'll make whatever color you're using nice and shiny. So the trick is, don't remove that stamp. You do want to clean it off. I'm just going to wipe it clean here, leave it where it is, and then we're going to go ahead and do the embossing. So I'm going to bring in my Simonsaysstamp Clear Embossing and Watermark ink. Okay, and I'm going to be using some clear superfine detail embossing powder from Ranger. All right, so those are just the products I have on hand. So I'm just kind of using what I have for this leftover scrap card. And that's what I like to do. I just like to use what I have. We tend to have a lot of products that just kind of sit around and, you know, they need some love. We just have to get them out and use them. So I'm just going in twice with the clear embossing ink, and that's just laying right on top of that black onyx. All right. And then I'm going to bring in just a piece of copy paper. This is what I just use to catch the powder. And I always like to get set up before I bring the card out, or bring the cardstock out. So I'm all set, and I'm just going to dump the powder right onto the stamped image. And just give that a second to adhere to the ink, and then tap off any of the excess. And I might do that one more time, just a light coating. Okay, and just set that aside. My camera's taking a moment to adjust. There we go. I think I might have to play around with a setting to keep it from doing that. All right, so we're just going to put everything away before we bring in the heat tool to melt the powder. All right, right now you can go ahead and clean your stamp because we're done with the stamping. And I do like to take a moment to clean the stamps and put them away, just so I don't lose any, or misplace any. So let's just take time to put it away. Put this over here, and then we're going to melt the powder. So I just have my heat tool here. I'm just going to turn it on, and I want to let it heat up for about 15 seconds. You definitely want to heat your heat tools first before you aim it to the powder. Otherwise, you're just going to blow the powder away. You want, when you aim it to the image, you want it to be hot. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and then in about 15 seconds, we'll melt the powder. Just keep your heat tool moving so it doesn't bubble. And as soon as the powder melts, move on. You don't need to keep setting it over the heat. And that's it. Struggling with some cords here. So there you have a nice shiny greeting. All right. And it doesn't take long for this to cool, but once it does cool, and sometimes I just wave it, go off camera so it doesn't get all blurry. Just wave it, and then you can just take a towel and just wipe off any of the powder that might be left over. And then we're going to go ahead and die cut this out. So we're going to find the coordinating die, and I believe it's this one. Yeah. And then we'll just go ahead and get that taped down. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so I can see. Let's bring it in so you can see. And just line it up. I'm kind of looking at the tail here, and then, you know, these little swirly areas. So once I get it positioned, I am going to tape it down. You don't want it to move. And then we'll bring in the Sizzix again. Let's go ahead and pan back out. And then for this, I need the full platforms. Okay, and then carefully put this up here and run it through. And when I'm die cutting these birthday greetings, or any greeting for that matter, I always die cut another layer just out of plain cardstock. And I went ahead and did that ahead of time, and it's just right here. So basically I just took the die and ran it through again. But I already did that. And then what you have left is this beautifully cut image. And let's get that piece out. Whoop, did it cut out? Yeah, there we go. And then you're left with a beautiful greeting. And then I am going to layer this behind it and glue it together just to give it a little dimension. So go ahead and do that. And what I like to do is I just like to bring in some liquid glue. And here I'm using GinaKDesigns glue. And just go around. And you don't need a lot. And these dies are very easy to line up. So just get it on there and then just use your fingers and go all the way around. Just lining it up, pressing it down. And then you just let it sit for a minute. You can put something heavy on it if you want. I have an acrylic block here handy, so I can just put that there. And then we will move on to the next step, which is we're going to bring in our little paneled, three-dimensional paneled background. And let's go ahead and bring in our frame. And let's see here. So what I was envisioning is I want to just lay this frame right on to that panel, just like that. And then this will go on the front of a card. But I may cut this down just a tad. Let me see here. I think I'm just going to leave it just the way it is. And I want to see which way I want the swirls. So it's really hard to see here with these lights. Ooh, there we go. I think I'm going to go this way. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue the panel down. And you can use double-sided tape if you want. I'm just using glue just so I can line it up a little easier. And just lay it down. And this piece of scrap is the same exact size, height and width of the panel beneath it. So I'm just lining up the edges and making sure everything's flat. And just giving that a moment to adhere. And then I'm going to bring in my card base and we'll go ahead and get that down. So we'll just go ahead and glue that right to the base. Okay. So I'm putting a pretty generous amount of glue, liquid glue down because I wanted to get down into those little dips of those dots just to really secure it. And again, this is the same size as the card panel. So that's kind of why I like to use liquid glue, just to square it up, get it all lined up, and then press it down. Okay, and then you just want to give that a moment or two to adhere really, really well. Okay, it doesn't take long. And then we're going to go ahead and pop this up. Now, what I wanted to do here is I just wanted to kind of have these pieces of scrap cardstock, which is what all these little individual pieces are scrap. And in the previous video, I show you how to do that. I just kind of want to line it up so it looks like a continuous line. But I do want to pop this up. So I'm going to bring in some foam squares that I have, and I'm just going to put them all over the back of this. I like to start in the center and just kind of visualize a clock. All right, 12 and 6 o'clock, 3 and 9, and then just go around and fill in the gaps. That's just how I do it, because I don't like when I pop things up and if they have a dip in it, I don't like that. So I just like to make sure, and sometimes, a lot of times, I'll just go ahead and test it too and just make sure there's no areas that need a little bit of building up. And I probably could put a couple in here, but it's holding up pretty well. All right, so you just want to make sure those are down, and then you want to remove the backers. So I'm just using a pick tool and just grabbing the paper backs and just kind of twisting them off. And you just go all the way around, and then I am also going to put some liquid adhesive on the backs. And I think I just have 2 more. Okay. And then I'm just going to put some liquid glue, little dot on each one. Now this is where a pair of reverse tweezers come in nice and handy, because then you can carefully line it up. Okay. This would even look really nice with navy, just to kind of darken it up, but I kind of wanted to keep it light and neutral. But you could do navy, and if your cardstock has a white core, meaning that, you know, the cardstock is white, but the top and the bottom are treated with the color, you can take a sanding block or a little piece of sandpaper and go over the dots, and it will pull out the white, and it's a really cool effect. So I've done that in some other videos. So that's another idea. So all we have left is the happy birthday greeting, and I'm just going to put that right in the middle. This is a quick, easy card using the scraps. I knew when I made that shaker card that I was going to save these scraps, and it's funny because the shaker card I made in the last video, I wanted to use up scraps, and yet I was creating more scraps just by making that card. But I do want to put this right in the middle, and that is it, my friends. That is our easy happy birthday card using scraps from the previous video where I used scraps to make a card. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Until then, have a great day.